I'm Frauke Wenzel, and I grew up in Germany with 3 brothers. Oh, well, before I went to university, I also went to the States for half a year. But yeah, then went to university and took part in a student exchange program that took me to Canada. And I ended up in Canada because my father really liked Canada. He had passed away when I was 19, but it was always in my memory that he really liked Canada. And on the application form, I filled out where I would want to go in Canada, and I put Vancouver because my dad had said that he thought that was the most beautiful city in the world that he had seen. I didn't know much about Canada at all, so that's where I ended up. On the first day at work, I had said on the application form I wanted to work outside because I was at university and I was always inside and studying. So I ended up working for the Vancouver Parks Board, and the first day there, when I reported to the boss, I met my now husband. So that was the start of my journey to Canada. I had a quite struggling years, the first few years. It was, I had left family, I had a lot of friends in Germany, had left all that behind. But I had, since I was 13, I always thought I wanted to live somewhere else in Germany. I have no idea why that was. We traveled a lot with my parents, and I always really liked that. So it was never really, even I really struggled the first 2 years. My English was really, really bad at that time. My husband sometimes jokes that I didn't have any English and he thought I was actually shy. And it was really hard not finding a job. It took me at least half a year to find a job. And that was temping, basically, as a clerk and a receptionist. I was really struggling. I think the first 2 years I was actually probably quite depressed. We then got married after, we went back and forth actually for 4 years before we married, and I was actually able to work. But I came back after I finished my studies in Germany. And then kind of worked myself up from job to job. Wasn't really doing first anything that had to do with my university studies. I was doing clerical work and reception work, which actually was a little bit of a horror because everybody here in Canada pronounced their names so differently. They could be Asian, they could be English, they could be German, and I always had to write down for everybody who called, and that was, I just still had nightmares sometimes at night that the phone would ring. But got all through that and worked myself up, worked for better and better companies. And then, at first I felt really lonely because I had really quite a network in Germany, but in Canada I didn't have that first. But it got better and better. It got easier and easier. And I think from that time, I still really realized how important it is to be able to connect with people. And I'm a quite outgoing person, and having interactions and connections with other people is hugely important to me. And I think that's something I carried always away from that time, is making people that come to a new area or come to a new job to make them comfortable and connect them with other people. I do that actually a lot, and even with a B&B. We're owning now River Ridge Lodge, a B&B. Very early on when I met my husband, we always had kind of the vision and the dream of having either a B&B, a lodge, a campground, rent out some cabins. Because my husband is a landscaper and he wanted to finally garden his own land. And for me, it was always connecting always with new people and always meeting new people. I was working in an office job, probably 25, 30 years. And you would have never set me at a lunch break on my own at my desk. Don't say never, it happens sometimes, but usually I would always try to go for lunch with somebody from all different departments. And that's just what I enjoy. And it was in early 2017, we both kind of really needed a break. And we had looked around in BC and Alberta and Ontario where we could possibly buy a B&B or lodge. It had to kind of be a fit for both of us because I didn't want to be too isolated. And over the years in B&B in BC, everything got more and more expensive, and the dream seemed to be kind of slipping away from us because it was just becoming so unaffordable. So early 2017, I said to my husband, let's go to Nova Scotia one more time. Look what's there and either rule it in or out. We had been here 3 times. 16 years ago, we came the first time to Nova Scotia, and also looked actually at a B&B in Mahone Bay at that time, but we still would have missed the mountains, and we really kind of enjoyed hiking a lot, and it seemed still really quite, yeah, I would say Nova Scotia has changed. So we did the trip one more time and got a listing sent to us by one of the real estate agents I contacted. And that is what's now River Ridge Lodge. We fell in love with the property on the pictures, started renovating every day for 9 months, and invited guests the first time exactly about 1 year ago. And I feel our dream has come true. We moved to the Mahone Bay area, and it was actually now friends of ours that we stayed 3 weeks at a cottage of theirs that because the house was just needed cleaning and everything. And we met them, and they were the ones that kind of started connecting us. They invited us for Christmas to their family. I will never ever forget that. I'm so thankful and grateful for that, and always feel giving back. And I think making connections comes fairly easy to me. And that's something that I can give back. But when people do want to connect, we try to connect them to friends sometimes, or do a bonfire, or all that kind of things, those kind of things. And I'm enjoying it so much, and I'm just so grateful, you know, for the community. And I've realized that was one of my biggest fears in making any change before, was the fear of starting new and being lonely again, as I felt in Vancouver at first. And I've learned that sometimes you really have to jump and, you know, face your fear. And the most amazing thing comes out of it, which was for me probably one of the greatest learnings. But also believing sometimes that when you meet people, it's meant to be. I'm quite a believer that people come into our life in life that we meet them for a reason, and sometimes it's not obvious right away why that is. But I have quite often experienced, when I keep an open mind and try to meet people a little bit better and find out about them, that afterwards, like, yes, that's, I think, why I was supposed to meet them in my life. So that is also one of the big learnings, I think, for me. And then also another one is having not too high expectations. I've learned that in my life, is when you have huge expectations, they can only be disappointed. But if you start with quite, not low, you don't have, that doesn't mean you lower your standards or you lower your values, but, you know, have a open mind of, you know, maybe it's not exactly what you thought would happen, but something else happens that might be much more amazing than what you even envisioned. You know, life is too short to not do what you dream. Like, don't lose your dreams and be persistent in following them more, and really look for, you know, not just stay in a job that I didn't like anymore, but really look for something that would really get my passion going again. So I feel that's what I've done. And again, I'm just so grateful about how my life has turned out. I just enjoy every day.